Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm your host, Dr. Haider Shah. On behalf of Calvas, I would like to welcome all of you to this webinar. Thank you very much for joining us. Today we have another very interesting topic, and I'm really honored to welcome and introduce our distinguished guest speaker who is going to talk about mental wellness, humor in class. Today we will explore the invaluable role of humor in cultivating a positive classroom environment and nurturing mental well-being. Throughout this session, we will discuss into the profound effect of incorporating the humor into education, uncovering strategies to promote a more joyful, engaging, and mentally healthy learning exercises. Really very interesting topic. I'm sure you will learn a lot from this session because we have expert with us in this today's this session. So stay tuned because an amazing stuff are coming ahead in this session. So before we start, I would like to thank Calvas for arranging such enlightenment sessions for their support and providing us such a wonderful platform. The aim of Calvas is to give you the opportunity to connect and interact with world-renowned speakers, academic leaders, teachers, authors, researchers, experts, and professionals to learn from their experiences, recommendations, and suggestions which will create an impact and will enable you to learn and develop yourself in order to grow and transform individually as well as to contribute to the world at large. As our slogan is calm, learn, share knowledge. So today we have amazing person as guest. He's a wonderful speaker, a regular speaker, and a trainer with the International Internship University and a global education network. Above everything, he is holding a wonderful experience exposure, a person who is always ready to share his knowledge on different platforms, and he is contributing to the world and field in a numerous ways. So please help me in welcoming our guest, Dr. Leoncio Calderon. Welcome to the Calvas platform and thank you very much for joining us, Prof.
Uh, Thank you, Doc Haider. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from the Philippines. Mabuhay. I will share my thoughts on mental wellness and humor.
Yeah.
Uh,
Thank you so
thank-
much, Prof, for accepting our invitation and looking forward for a wonderful content which you are going to share with us. So over to you, Prof. Thank you.
Thank you. Uh, Kindly gaze at the image shown. What can you say
Yes, Prof.
about the cartoon image? What can you say about the cartoon image from Gary Larson's Far Side? So if you don't have the chance to actually go directly to me, you just write down your thoughts uh, on paper or in your notepad. So how would you feel? In our country, when we're about to experience pain, the interjection is aray. Doc Haider, what would be the expression for pain if you feel pain? Doc Haider.
Yes, Prof. Very interesting image, and really, it's a situation of a kind of dilemma that is what is going to happen in that.
Yes. So as you can see, they are going through the process of a scientific investigation. It cringes you no end on what will happen once the role starts. Unfortunately, he's even tied up to the wheel. Good luck, brave fellow. But before we proceed to our particular session on humor, we will define first three bigger terms. Unfortunately, many people casually use mental illness terms to describe certain situations. For example, someone saying, I'm so OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, when they insist upon having a clean workspace, or saying, I was so depressed when this supposed session in wellness was canceled. And luckily, it was not canceled to describe feelings of disappointment. These casual statements misrepresent the important differences that exist among mental wellness, mental health, and mental illness. Mental wellness is defined as having both an awareness of your emotions and the ability to manage and express those feelings in a healthy and age appropriate manner. It includes having both good mental and physical health, high life satisfaction, and a sense of meaning. More generally, well being is just feeling good about yourself and your life. Mental health is made up of our emotional, psychological, and social well being. It affects how we think, feel, and act. It also helps determine how we handle stress, relate to others, and make choices. Mental health is important at every stage of life, from childhood and adolescence through adulthood. It can be negatively impacted by such things as living in a difficult marriage, struggling with aging parents, or poor work life balance. Mental illnesses are specific diagnosable health conditions involving changes in emotion, thinking, or behavior, or a combination of the three. Mental illnesses are associated with distress and or problems functioning in social, work, or family activities. They are medical diagnoses that have behavioral components like any medical condition such as heart disease or diabetes. Understanding the differences among the three terms can go a long way to helping ensure that you have benefits and support in place for the entire continuum. What is mental wellness? Mental wellness is a positive state of mental health. It is more than the absence of mental illness. Being mentally well means that your mind is in order and functioning in your best interests. You are able to think, feel, and act in ways that create a positive impact on your physical and social well being. The importance of mental wellness, you have mentally well people who are positive, self assured, and happy. They are in control of their thoughts, emotions, and behavior. This enables them to handle challenges, build strong relationships, and enjoy life. Achieving good mental health will enable you to realize your own abilities, cope with the stress and challenges of life, engage in productive work, contribute to your community. Sustaining mental health requires time and effort. The more you invest in your mental health, the stronger it will become. Working towards mental wellness. There are many ways you can enhance your mood, build resilience, and get more enjoyment out of life. First, learn to be at peace with yourself, like get to know who you are and what makes you happy. Acknowledge what you can and cannot change about yourself. Identify your abilities and weaknesses by accepting them, build on them, and do the best with what you have. Second, pay attention to your own needs and feelings, like expressing your thoughts through a journal or blog to understand more about yourself. Third, work towards your objectives. Set SMART goals, the acronym specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time limited. Fourth, maintain a happy lifestyle, a healthy lifestyle like taking balanced meals, exercising regularly, like not trying to make myself awake. Hopefully, we don't limit coffee intake now, but you have to limit alcohol consumption. Avoid cigarettes and other harmful substances. Fifth, build strong relationships. like making time for family and friends and share life's joys and sorrows with them. Not only in joys, but also sorrows. I don't know how if I already count well. Is it or 6 or 7? But anyway, if you're listening, you know where we are. Create a financial budget. Avoid overspending and focus on needs instead of wants. So when you say I want a BMW, you start with I want a Volkswagen. I don't know if there are Volkswagen still in Pakistan. And lastly, volunteer for a cause. Being involved in the community gives a sense of purpose and satisfaction. Now we got to our topic of today's import. Humor can have a powerful effect on people. Research shows when people find something funny, they tend to pay more attention to it and remember it better in the long term. So when you say, Doc Haider and the audience, the worldwide audience here, what kind of tree can fit into your hand? What do you think, Doc Haider? What can fit in your hand? What kind of tree?
Yeah, it depends on your choice and it depends on the flower. It depends what kind of tree you want to grow. Actually, it depends on the seed that
Yeah.
will grow the tree. Yes, bro.
Okay. So related to our joke here, when part of the hand is a palm tree, palm tree.
Wow,
So
super.
well, part of the hand. So what can fit?
Nice.
Actually, there are many types of trees, including
Uh,
unless you're going to say bamboo, which is the tallest and the biggest tree. Even though when it's actually a grass when you classify bamboo.
yes,
Okay.
very nice.
Moving
Yeah,
on.
sure. Yes, bro.
Furthermore, humor has an invigorating effect and can make people feel more interested in what's going on and more energized. These benefits are important since they suggest that humor could be a valuable tool to use in educational contexts, both by teachers who are trying to teach better as well as by students who are trying to facilitate their own learning. So, educators, so what do you see here? So, we have even numbers. They're talking about an odd couple. So, in math, we have even numbers and odd numbers. So, an odd couple, we have 7 and 3. So when they pass by, the even numbers are still keep on discussing how an odd couple 7 and 3 are. So this could be used as a tool to actually motivate children and as adult as to the concepts of even and odd numbers. This example illustrates how using simple humor in the classroom can lead to better learning outcomes for students. Furthermore, as noted above, in addition to improvements in performance, research also shows that the use of humor by teachers also leads to a better overall classroom environment. This leads students to report higher levels of motivation and satisfaction throughout the learning process and to rate their lecturers more positively in their evaluations. So you have 6, you are trying to cross over, but he gave pass to 3.1415. As you know, 3.1415 is the value of pi. So is there something with the value of pi? It's non-terminating and non-repeating. So if you let pi cross the intersection, will there be a chance for 6 to actually cross to make it across the road? So what's the answer? Our audience, no, because there's no end to the value of pi. So you're in a dilemma now, as we discussed earlier. How would you cross now? let pi cross. It's like a
Yes,
never-ending train. So you have
true.
trains there also in Pakistan that are almost never-ending, kilometers long, Dr. Haider.
True, bro.
Okay, okay. Moving on. So my pin is the last four digits of pi. So for example, you're a renowned professor in Pakistan, I believe, Dr. Haider, and everybody wants your like a movie star. Everybody wants your number and something cryptic that you will say. Okay, you just look for the pin. My pin is the last four digits of pi. So could you actually have the last four digits if the value of pi is not terminating, non-terminating, and non-repeating? So they won't get they will never get the last four digits.
Yes, very true.
The acronym of MAT, so mental abuse to humans. So sometimes I don't know if it's an international or actually a worldwide phenomenon. When we say there's actually children or others trying to avoid math in any way they can. I think it's subject related aversion or teacher related aversion. But here in my country, in my school, so most of the students who are not leaning to math, they find it difficult to understand math. So in math, when the instructor tells a joke, only math majors would know, or those who understand math. It would not be funny. Or a math professor telling a joke, an intellectual joke, and none understood him. As a teacher, please do not make funny references that your students didn't understand or care about. So, are you cold? Come sit in the corner. Uh, it's 90 degrees. So here we have a confluence of temperature and math angles. And finally, below you can see it is an acute joke or not. Mathematically, it is not an acute angle. What type of angle is that? It is supposed to be a right joke. It is a right angle. So you have a statement that would actually ignite or actually reflect on them. Oh, the level is about two. The statement goes on to two parts. It is a language joke, a mathematical joke. So you're actually involving people, involving students to think it the way it should be, to take it as a joke and try to recreate it to make it fun, to make it more fun. So kindly read our audience. What do you call a fake noodle? So fake noodle. So the answer would be fake noodles is impasta, imposter. So imposter. So imposter. So you have homophones. You try to say something that as they sound alike, but they have different meanings. So it can have bearing on either language and into TLE or livelihood, into cooking, a subject in cooking. So fake noodles is an imposter, an impasta. So when you say in values, when you say impossible, so I'm just trying to deviate a little. Impossible. Is there such a thing in our advocacy in education, Dr. Haider? Impossible? Well, take it just a step. Try to separate and take it one step at a time. So you separate I am, the letters I am from possible, then impossible becomes I'm possible. So
Yes,
we try
bro.
to chunk it. Impossible is no longer impossible. We just chunk it, separate. I am becomes I am possible. Impossible is just shortened for I am possible. So you are also possible. Our audience is no longer impossible. I am possible. However, although humor can be beneficial when it comes to teaching, it's important to note that humor can also have a negative influence in some cases, such as when it's excessive, inappropriate, or hurtful. Accordingly, when using humor in your teaching, it's important to consider the type of humor that you're planning to use and the way in which you're planning to use it. We'll see some guidelines regarding this soon. Overall, the evidence that we saw so far demonstrates that when used properly, humor can facilitate learning, both directly by helping students remember the material better, as well as indirectly by helping foster a more positive learning environment. So this could be a language topic. So let's eat grandma. Let's eat grandma. The difference here is the placing of the punctuation. So it could be for elementary grades when they use a comma. One doesn't use a comma. The one below use a comma. What's the difference? There is a big difference. So let's eat grandma. The one on top. You're going to eat your grandmother. There might be food in the refrigerator, but you're going to eat grandma. So if you find that grammar, if you follow the sense without the comma, you're going to be a cannibal. So the use of punctuation is important. That without it, you'll be killing somebody. And the difference of especially in diplomacy, if you lose a particular punctuation, it could be a means to difference between peace and war. The non-fluency in English does not interfere this particular math proficiency. So he says, I'm an engineer, but he find it difficult to spell engineer. So he just write to cover his lack of fluency in English. I'm good in math. Hopefully, that doesn't have to. There has not to be a dichotomy with having to be an engineer who is good in math and not good in English. Since in our country, when you have to study engineering, you have to have fluency in English. But so it so happens that when we make a joke, engineers are not good in writing or something literary or poetic. It so happens. And writers and artists are not as good as engineers when it comes to construction or engineering concepts. So usually when we start a program, let us pause for a moment of what would the word usually use? Instead of science, it's actually silence. Right, Doc? Let's pause now for a moment of silence. But when you're trying to make actually something that is amazing, or trying to make an impression, let us pause now for a moment of science. Nice one.
Nice, prof. Nice.
Okay. This means that humor can be a beneficial tool to use whether you're an educator or a student, so long as the humor is directly related to the topic being taught. There are many ways to use humor in this context, such as showing a humorous comic to help illustrate an important point. So Iron Man is actually female. How could that be? Iron Man is already actually female. So it also correspond to a same statement or question, who is Iron 59 then? Okay. So how come it becomes Felix? If you look at the number 59, the Roman numeral for 59 is LIX. L for 50, Roman number 50, IX for 9. So if you combine iron with FE, which is the symbol for iron, and the Roman numeral 59, LIX, then you have a name, Felix. And you won't go wrong if Felix is actually a boy or a man. So that's why Iron Man is female separated. Like impossible, I'm possible. Dr. Haider and the audience, how do you feel if you are presented with this? What do you
Yeah.
call this?
Periodic, periodic table, it reminded me. Prof.
Yes. So how would you feel if you're presented with this? Are you happy? Would you be happy? Would you be
I would
challenged?
a very big challenge.
Yes, very. Of course, if you're not into chemistry, you'll be challenged with all the elements on the table. Okay, so actually, when you're given this periodic table, it will be a easier way to introduce the periodic table if the names of your students be associated to the elements, just like my name. So even though I'm called Dr. Leoncio Calderon, my nickname is Noli. So you just try to use the letters of my name in particular. So Noli, N for nitrogen, O for oxygen, Li for lithium. So in a way, you're going to identify yourselves being part of the periodic table in science. Would that be actually nice to be able to identify your name just picking the letters from the periodic table? Just like if your name is Haider, so H is for what? Hydrogen, di ba? Sir? Hydrogen. Then A is for AI would be argon. I is for iodine. D is for. Then you just have to look. You don't have to say everything. They just have to look at the periodic table and try to look for the letters that would correspond to their names. That would be actually giving them, giving them the opportunity to see the periodic table as part and see their names as part of the periodic table. So they are claiming the periodic table as theirs. So here, never trust an atom. How would you ever trust an atom? After some careful thought, I decided that one possible reason why faculty give humor and the report that humor can produce such low ratings is that they may be unaware of the positive thoughts, emotions, and behavior these qualities can elicit from their students. If only they knew, if they were, perhaps they would be more likely to see these qualities as characteristics of effective master teachers and do their best to emulate them. So you have professors, teachers who are not used to making humor because they think it's not necessary. But if you're going to see never trust an atom, so you have to discover why. Because they make up everything in the universe. So never trust an atom. But when you say they make up anything, it's a lie in language. But in science, actually everything you have here, the air, everything around you, everything around you is made up of atoms. So it could be a language and a science complements here. So you make things on different level and different fields and try to integrate it. And they be able to be creative and critical thinkers at the same time. The recent work from this group, Bosler, Kirk, Keeley, and Busquets 2017, has also revealed that lacking a sense of humor is a quality that students perceive to be reflective of poor teaching, and that examples of this quality are never or seldom telling a funny joke or story, being serious all the time, and not smiling or acting jovially around students. So I make bad chemistry jokes because all the good ones are gone. So AR, the chemical element AR, argon, so it can be used as argon. So teachers, try to be not not to be gone. So you just have to using begin using humor instead of being relegated to some memory that students will forget. As the teacher, I don't know, I forgot. But if you're a lively teacher, a jovial teacher who tells a funny story or joke, you will be remembered. So I have a teacher who is not gone, but I will remember him as a funny teacher that facilitated learning, and I learned from him much. We all know that teaching is serious and important business. But teachers do not have to be serious or humorless to be effective. In fact, Bill Busquets and his proteges from Auburn University, who have studied and identified the characteristics of excellent master teachers for the past 20 years, have indicated that possessing and exhibiting a good sense of humor is one of these characteristics. So be nice. Teachers, be nice to your students. Be nice to your colleagues. Be nice to your family and friends. Be nice to the environment. So you can have here elements of the periodic table. Uh, uh, be nice. So you have three elements. You'll be able to convey a message of being nice as well as learning what are the elements involved in being nice. Avoid offensive, rude, or sarcastic humor. Examples of such situations. I had a history teacher who tried to tell a joke involving a concentration camp, and it just plain was not funny. Explaining how to design a cockpit in AutoCAD and comparing it to female body parts. My math instructor tried to make story problems out of violent situations to make the class laugh, but it was more distracting than helpful. I had a lab mentor who made fun of students without knowing them. This made him seem cold and make me feel distant from the class material. One of my teachers tried to use racial jokes that did not go over well with the majority black class. An instructor tried to make a joke about race and how it is different to be a Christian or Muslim. No one laughed. I found it unnecessary when my instructor used cursing or what children say, bad words, to add humor. While there may be mistakes in delivering humor, when done properly, humor is amazing. My students were unanimous in their opinion that it is possible to learn and have fun at the same time. And they overwhelmingly reported that they enjoy a class more if their instructor uses humor. They also indicated that when a teacher uses humor in the classroom, they learn more, like the teacher more, are more likely to talk to their instructor outside the classroom, are more likely to seek help from their instructor about how to do better in the class, are more likely to enroll in that instructor's classes, and are more likely to give that instructor higher student evaluation scores at the end of the semester. Now teachers, instructors, use humor in your classroom to get all these positive benefits and evaluation. It doesn't take a genius or a genie to make us one happy class. Genie, use us. Genie as genius. One happy class, family in the world with a healthy dose of humor. Humor made it all happen for laughter to become the best medicine. Humor may lead to laughter. So the precursor of laughter is humor. So notice, body language should also come. When you talk, you also use. That's why when you say no, sometimes it's empathic just to be silent and do this. It doesn't call you to say quiet. This is more empathic, being silent. And now Dr. Haider is being silent because I use this gesture. Where my audience gets into this, you try to laugh in your room. If they find you're a bit crazy, then they don't know what's happening right now. Let them be. We're just happy right now. Wow. A love letter, perhaps. Happy Valentine's Day, Doc, even it's Christmas. You could even use the neon symbol to represent the letters EN, just to complete Valentine's, by creatively repositioning it. How? What you do, NE, when you try to invert it, look at my hand. This is NE. When you invert it, then E becomes the first part of NE becomes EN. So you now have two letters coming from NE, it becomes EN, then it becomes Valentine. So repositioning NE to EN also gives you a creative way into making thinking as creative and critical. Those are soft skills needed for us to be for us to make students learn, because these are the two most important for 21st century students and teachers to have the first two most needed skills for the 21st century: creative thinking and critical thinking. You just have to look it up. They're the two most important skills needed. The use of humor in the classroom has been researched extensively. Segrest and Hupp, 2015, who summarized 41 years of literature on humor in the college classroom and has been shown to have many benefits for students. Banas, Dunbar, Rodriguez and Liu, 2011, Gamer, 2006, Haas and Estep, 2016, Polio, 2002, some of which are an increase in learning, an increase in self-motivation, an increase in class attendance, an increase in test performance, an increase in divergent thinking, an increase of interest in learning, a reduction of anxiety and stress in dealing with difficult material, the creation of positive social and emotional learning environment, the creation of a common psychological bond between students and faculty. Let me take a sip. Hopefully it's coffee, Doc. You owe me coffee just to make it uh, talking right now and alert, awake and alert.
Yes, bro. But I'm really enjoying the way you are giving examples and different analogies. What a wonderful content you are sharing. Please keep it up. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Doc Haider. We just like to make interactive, not one way. Remember, feedback is important. Good that the good
Very
doctor
important.
is here.
Yes, Prof. Thank you very much.
You can even integrate different fields, subjects to come up with the revered Mahatma Gandhi's wisdom. When there is love, there is life. So again, in reference to the periodic table, you have lithium, Li, and iron, Fe, life. So the integration of philosophy, of values, of science. So there's not to be actually a dichotomy, not have to be opposites, but you can actually integrate things. That's why Einstein is looking for an integration of all the elements. So if you look at the periodic table, it's still incomplete. It's supposed to be a table where you have edges around to make it complete. So still, we're still looking for the other elements to complete since the universe is so vast. So we're still in the process. So it will take so many lifetimes to actually complete the table, but we're getting there. If humor leads to laughter, what leads to love? Probably you need to sacrifice the two letters EV from able to find love. Or it is better to give you your everything for love to evolve. That's quite a saying. Would you agree? Again, you will only understand the emotion of love once you feel it. So here, the abstract idea of love by using a concrete statement of science by using the elements, you'll be able to what? To entwine, to bridge, to connect. What happens now is there's a disconnect about feelings, about the world, because we're not able to connect with our loved ones due to work. There's not have to be a gap. You can actually bridge up if you only spend time, quality time with our members, quality time with our students, quality time with our environment by taking care of our environment. So there's not have to be different levels of how we love people, how we love environment, how we love God. So we're delving now into the metaphysical sense. So other than the physical and the metaphysical. If you look at it, it looks like a Scrabble game with planets. So you have here HGS Mercury, since Mercury is the one closest to the sun. So the Mercury as a toxic element, as a metal, a soft metal, liquid metal, then you have the rest of the planets in line. So on the right part of the list of planets, you have planetary alignment and conjunction. Some people confuse planetary conjunction and planetary alignment, sometimes referred to as a planet parade. So actually, you can interject or insert lessons about science with this. So that's why a visual representation of any lesson is quite creative because you let them see for themselves what's on screen. So a conjunction, if I may define it, implies a shorter than usual distance between objects in the sky. So when you look at the sky, you see stars. So when you say conjunction, so conjunction in technically it's between zero point 0.5 degrees to 9 degrees difference. So when you're using it on the longitudinal axis. So I don't have to explain it further, but it's so near. When you treat two stars so near together, but they're actually planets if you look it from the telescope. While an alignment means that planets line up in a row in the same area of the sky as seen from the Earth. Staying focused on the eight main planets is also uncommon for all eight planets to even be in the same part of the sky. It's quite rare because this occurs every few thousand years and was last recorded in year, would you believe, 949. Year 949, it's not even 1000. So we're year 2023. So that's about 1,400 years ago. When you talk about alignment, perfect alignment. If you look at there, it's straight ahead. So you have an alignment of one after the other planets. So astronomers predict the next planetary alignment will occur when? On the night of May 6th. Would you know, our good doctor, what year would that be? May 6 what? Would you like to know, Dr. Haider?
Yeah, sure, please.
So it will be within our lifetime, 2492.
Wow.
Then you wait for the feedback. You wait for your students to, it's a wow. It's amazing. You get surprised, huh? 2492, that's about 300, what, 370 years from now? Almost 370 years. And how many generations would that be after us, Doc Haider? Wow. Yes. So you can make it happen that they will realize, by being creative, being visual, being critical, then that's the use of humor. You're going to ignite something in them, inspire them to think creatively and critically. So, Doc, can you read it for me because it's too small for me to read?
Yeah. Once I told a chemistry joke, there was no reaction.
There is no reaction. So luckily, there is not a reaction because if it explodes, then later on you just rise up. You just get to awake, just to wake up in the hospital. Where am I? Where am I? You have actually a reaction. Okay, so a reaction. Okay, okay. So what's happening to my? Okay. So I think I have to slow down on my. Okay, 30. Okay. So failed attempts of humor. Don't feel bad if I'm actually trying to give you the cons. There are pros. There are the good sides of humor, but there are also
Yes.
caveats. So where if there are failed attempts of humor, since if you're going to start giving humor, delivering humor, I'm just giving you the setbacks if you feel in humor. Either there was no reaction or a negative reaction. Examples of such situations are he messed up a joke and I completely shut down from what he said. That could be a normal feeling among students if you mess up a joke. My biology teacher is not funny and makes me lose focus in class. Another, my speech teacher tried to use humor, but she wasn't really very funny, so it didn't help. Another one, I had a calculus instructor who would say he had jokes for us. There was never a punchline. So they were really just stories. I think he had the words joke and story confused. I have an instructor in history who tries to use humor all the time, but more often than not, he is the only one laughing. He often resorts to bad puns. I couldn't understand an instructor's humor because English was not his first language. That happens. What
Yeah.
would happen to me if I cannot understand humor if you use your Pakistan language? Then I'm at a loss. I'm at a perfect loss. If you're going to say something in your natural native language, then I won't get it.
Yes, bro.
When their sense of humor is not congruent with the majority of their students, failed jokes make the teacher look like a fool. Okay. There are many, many things that can make you fail. But still, the persistence of of possibility. When you say impossible, I'm possible. So do not close the door. You open something that is new, joyful, jovial, accelerating, that would deliver you more to our students. So you just open up. You just have to take it one step at a time. Body language is quite important. So here I'm showing you a list of discarded, disclaimed, renamed, disproved elements. So many students and teachers are not aware that there are some elements that have been discarded, disclaimed, renamed, disproved. Uh, it was not long a time ago when I discovered that nitrogen, it replaced the name azote or azote. If you students and Dr. Haider, if you look at the list, nitrogen azote was the former name of azote. So when I look at that, I look on the background why it changed from azote to nitrogen. Azote was the Greek word without zote, life, without life. So why is it that Anton Lavoisier, a French chemist, name was changed to nitrogen? Because Daniel Rutherford, a Scottish chemist, was the one to separate nitrogen from oxygen by burning off oxygen from a jar, from a bottle. That's why nitrogen was actually attributed not to Anton Lavoisier, but to Daniel Rutherford. That's why it was being replaced. So also, if you're looking for your letters corresponding to your names, you also go to your list. So Dr. Haider, if you don't have your name there, letters corresponding to your name, you can look it up to this list of disclaim or rename elements. So you make something that is no longer important also important in the sense of introducing some things about history of elements. So nothing is actually of less value. It's just how you introduce something that makes it of value. So in that same manner, when we talk about inclusive education, we also include people and students who are actually not responsive to lectures but more into the visual thing.
Superb, Prof.
The list, it's just 2 pages of list. So here you have the proficiency levels of humor. So I'm going to, this is a checklist of evaluating yourself. Where am I right now? So, audience, you can actually screenshot that. Where am I right now? So if you're at level 1, basic, generally uses humor in a positive way. Then conscientious about timing and setting for humor, try to diffuse tense situations, and can laugh at self. It's important to laugh at yourself. Why? Dr. Haider and the audience worldwide, better to laugh at your mistakes because failures and mistakes are the stepping stones, are the foundations of success. Where can you build on your success if you do not fail? That's why
True.
when I tell my students, if they do not triumph in competitions, in international competitions, it doesn't matter. We still love you. You're the best student from our school. That's why we sent to you. So you're still the best. So that's why we also educate our parents because Asians' parents are very particular about education. It doesn't matter if you're Pakistan, from India, from Saudi Arabia. When you talk about Asian parents, they're quite demanding as to the as to proficiency, as to success when it comes to competition. But you have to taper off that expectation. When we love our children, it is not bound by their achievement. We're trying to create values here. So we just laugh it off. Try to forgive yourselves. Try to forgive your mistakes, and try to learn from your mistakes. That's the essence of learning. You learn from your mistakes and try to rebound. Try to rebound. Try to reach a new high until you become successful without thinking of it uh, literally all the time. Because success is that it doesn't be counted in how much money or how many certificates or awards you receive. It's how much confidence, how much help you offer to others, how you give back to your community, how you build on your community, how you sustain environment, how to protect the environment, how to love your God, how to love your fellow man. That's more important. So it's just a plus if you become successful in your own profession. So you see, educators, now we're not thinking of humor just for humor's sake. We're just thinking also values. So we're trying to do parallel learning here, different levels of learning. How to be creative, how to be critical. Uh, Try to inspire yourselves so you'll be able to inspire people, to inspire students by using humor as just one of the tools. Humor is not the end all answer when it comes to delivery. You still have your other strategies and methods, but think also of humor as one great entertainment tool when you deliver your message, when you deliver learning to our students. In addition, when using humor as an educational tool, and particularly when using it as a teacher in the classroom, there are a few guidelines in order to guarantee that you're using it effectively as possible while avoiding potential issues. As such, humor should generally be connected to the material that is being studied and serve some function in helping the student understand it. The use of humor should be limited. Using humor too frequently could reduce its beneficial effect by diluting its importance and might cause the students to feel more distracted. Remember, you just use it a few times. Use humor with the most important concepts to make them salient. There is no clear line regarding how much humor is too much, but it's better to err on the side of caution. And prior research has shown, take note, that even three or four jokes in a single lesson can be highly effective in helping students learn. So remember, how many? Three or four jokes in a single lesson. You just look at my hands. So being
Wow. Superb.
and passing being silent. Three, four, one. So 4 minus 3, 1. Oh. 3 plus 4 equals 1. So it's not mathematics. It's beyond mathematics. The humor should be positive and appropriate. You should avoid humor that is inappropriate given the context, such as humor that is aggressive and aimed at specific students. In conclusion, the following are the main takeaways. Humor can be a powerful tool in educational settings since it helps direct people's attention, improves their ability to remember the material, and increases their energy levels as well as the enjoyment that they derive from the learning process. Accordingly, humor can be an effective educational tool, both when it comes to teaching others as well as when it comes to facilitate your own learning. You can employ humor as a learning in various ways, such as by thinking of a humorous mnemonic that helps memorize a key concept, or finding a humorous example that helps illustrate a crucial point. If you're using humor to teach others, make sure that you use humor that is positive and appropriate. Remember the earlier image I posted, Doc Haider, the wheel being about to roll down.
Yes, Prof.
Look at the situation of the poor fellow sitting atop. Where shall he sit to have a higher percentage of survival, though not guaranteed? Where do you think, Doc Haider? I'm not putting you in the spot, but worldwide audience, where will you put the poor fellow just to have a higher percentage of survival? Uh, where will you put him?
Window side.
Inside?
Side of the wheel.
Yes, inside the hole.
Yes.
Because what will roll down is actually the edge of the wheel. So the safest point where to sit down if you're going to use a rock wheel as transport is inside the hole. So you're trying to connect and make them creative and critical at the same time, your students, inside the wheel's hole. So what is the reflection on this? There are many health, environmental, and sustainability problems that needed to be addressed, but are ignored and repeatedly unresolved and flagrantly violated in the name of progress and financial benefit. We do not need to roll down our lives and future to an impending disaster. If you were six, remember, Dr. Haider and our audience, previous image with six about to cross, and he let the value of pi cross the intersection. If you were six, Dr. Haider, this is a rhetorical question that you may solve on your own and the audience worldwide. What will you do to cross over? Make your own solution. So you have time to reflect on that. Things come into your life where you will make choices, decisions. I hope, along with Dr. Haider, that whatever choices you will make, think of humor as both means and ends for proper judgment, all for the common good in class and the bigger world around us. Humor moves us into reflection on how we can, on a personal level, forgive our mistakes and become better persons. Better persons. Hopefully, as teachers and adults, inspire, motivate, help our students, our people, to see beyond our failures as stepping stones to success. Before I end my talk, one final game. Guess the word. Okay, so if you answer it correctly, free tuition from Baria Business School, care of Dr. Haider Shah. So what would the word be?
It's
So I give you a few
Yaman.
seconds. So Doc Haider, what would that be?
So maybe win-win situation.
Yes, it's a win-win situation. This it's actually three syllables, and it refers to the country who invited me. Which invited me? Would that what country would that be?
Pakistan.
It's Pakistan. Correct. The first about Pax, kiss, and if you try to horizontally flip it, the knot there is tan. So sometimes
Oh,
our visual acuity would be always looking at something as not NAT. But when you try to flip it horizontally, then you will see it at a different light. So what we see doesn't mean that's the final truth. So sometimes we have to dig deeper to look into people's heart. If what you see is not what really want to convey. So Pakistan, salamat. Salamat in our Filipino language means thank you.
Wow, wonderful, Prof.
I am
Wonderful.
Dr. Noli Calderon from the Philippines, wishing you maligayang Pasko at mabuhay.
Wow, Prof. Wonderful, wonderful. So great session it was. It was one of the best session on Canvas. We have conducted more than 240 live sessions, and this is really interesting. From the first second to the last second of this session, you kept us engaged, and our intentions were there. We attentively listened to everything, and everything was so alive because you kept us so much busy in this session that you kept on asking the questions, and you were giving wonderful analogies, wonderful examples. You were connecting with the different things that we kept on thinking. What I have learned today so much, so many things from you, that how can you incite and provoke people for creative thinking, and you take them to the situation where they have no choice but to creatively think, and
Yes,
that's the,
choice.
yeah, wonderful
Actually make
part.
a choice. That's good, Doc.
Yes.
They
Yeah,
have no choice
wonderful.
but to make choices.
And I love wonderful of your phrases, as you mentioned that we learn from our failures and mistakes. These are the stepping stone for success and everything. And that's, I think, wonderful lesson for the people who are watching from around the globe, that everyone has to go through the process of failures and the process of this refinement through the mistakes which we do, and we just try to do it again with more knowledge and with more wisdom. So I believe the content was so great because so many pictures, so many wonderful knowledge. At the same time, it was so simple, but I could see that they contain heavyweight stuff in order to understand. And I love the way you just mentioned the wheel of wellness, because sometimes certain things on that wheel are missing in the part of the people's life. But the way you just mentioned it is the true reflection that how can we have a complete wellness while considering the wheel of wellness. Very nice, and I love the last part of this segment was the way you just mentioned the name of Pakistan through the packs, kiss, and name. It was so brilliant idea, Prof. Really, hats off to you. The way you just concluded this session was so great, and above everything, which I loved and I really appreciate that you explained each and everything with a smiling face, and it was so great. And I could see and I could imagine that how great teacher you would be when you will be taking class physically and would be keeping people engaged in your wonderful conversation as well as with the wonderful content. So wonderful, Prof. Thank you very much. And some questions are waiting for your explanation. Please elaborate for our audience from around the globe. So certain things they want to ask from you and they want to take advantage of your expertise on that. So should we start with the first question, please?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, Prof. The first question they want to ask that what are the potential challenges or misconceptions associated with using humor in the classroom, and how can they be overcome or addressed? Yes, please.
So I already name a few. There's that resistance from our teachers who are not used to using humor. It's just trying to learn a new skill. Remember, teachers and educators, there are actually top 15 skills needed for 21st century. But only one skill is needed. So what is that? The skill to learn new skills. So remember that. The only thing you need for the 21st century that encompass the whole spectrum of skills needed, all the 15, 10 or to 15 list of skills, the skill to learn new skill. Do not be afraid. That's why when I use my hands like that, try to open up. Try to accept new challenges. Try to learn new opportunities. You try. So that's why in failure, you will fail at times. because in failure you will learn from that failures to be better. So when I tried humor, I learned when I was young in a movie house. So people, my mom will always tell me as young as 4 years old, 5 years old. I laugh even before the punchline is about to be thrown. I was the first one to laugh. So I built on that, remembering that I knew beforehand what is the punchline. So when you talk about the punchline, do not dwell on the punch, but on the line. And if and it will take time for you to be proficient, you start off with learning simple jokes related to your subject matter. It doesn't have to be complicated. Just like what Dr. Haider said, make it simple. So that's why the issue of having a brilliant teacher and effective teacher, what is the difference? Is how to make it simple enough for all of your students. We're talking about inclusive education. Try to reach out to their different needs, different understanding, that be able to grasp, huh? Hold, grasp, not grapes. I like grapes, but it's better to grasp the grapes with your hand and not too hard. When you say grasp, di ba? It's quite a little bit. When you grasp the knowledge, grab the opportunity. It's always G, grab, not Uber. Grab. So you see the confluence of ideas when you're making jokes. It will come a time that you'll be able to have all those confluence of learning, all those parallel learning come into play. And you'll be able to take it from history, from science, from math, from values, from religion. You're able to just pick it from your mind. So sometimes we're becoming forgetful, Dr. Haider. Does it come with age? No, because our brain is full of knowledge. So it takes time, just like a computer, it takes time for our brain to pick up that particular knowledge we want to share. So sometimes, where's my key? Where's my cell phone? Because we're always preoccupied with higher thinking level. With higher thinking level. That's why we are become forgetful. Don't take it as a mistake. It just so happened it takes time to recover knowledge, that particular knowledge, because we have so much in our minds. That the higher thinking level took much of our brain, and the lower thinking level of looking for our glasses, looking for our pencil, looking for glasses. We're looking all time, but actually our glasses is over on our heads. So it's just that it takes humor, huh? It's you humor yourself. You forgive yourself to make mistakes, but you start off. Try to practice this off with your family at first. We just try to practice. If you try to sell something to somebody, you sell the idea. You sell humor to the ones closest to you, because they're the first one to forgive and forget. They will be your test, your guinea pigs, as we say in science. So you test first with your family friends, with your daughter. If they feel it's corny, it's a little bit okay, then you build on that. You build on that confidence, because they will love you back, regardless if your jokes are off or no reaction, as we say. You have to strive through.
Very nice, Prof. Thank you very much for such a wonderful answer. And you have given very practical tips even to build up the confidence. And you can start from your family and then you can take it to the next level. And I think one can improve it with the passage of time. And this is also a kind of skill, and we have to learn it and we have to develop it by working on it. So thank you very much. And now, Prof, very interesting question is has been asked by one of our audience, and that is related to the neuroscientific basis. So the question is, are there any ongoing or emerging research studies which exploring the neuroscientific basis of humor's influence on cognition and mental wellness in education context? Now, since you know that neuromarketing, neuro HR are being studied well in order to influence the behavior of the consumer as well as the employee. So, Prof, as you mentioned multiple times in your own session, when you were explaining all about the humor, that there are different studies which actually report. So, can you just elaborate this for our audience as well regarding that how the different empirical studies are supporting it? Yes, please.
So I mentioned earlier the most recent work, as to my knowledge, is 2017 by Bustler, Kirk, Keeley, and Bruce. 2017. So internet is actually equalize everything. That's why teachers, educators should always read. It is a must. It is matter. When you say atom makes up most of our time, then it must be also learning. We would always develop in our hearts, not just for the sake of teaching, but of learning. So 27, that is the latest. As to the other findings with regards to cognitive, the latest is 2017, to my knowledge. That's why I'm just trying to give out 27 as the latest I know. So other than that, since the other stats I mentioned, 41 years, 20 years. So if you try to go back to my, the record, I mentioned that. So it's enough study for 41 years on findings about humor, and the one is 20. So it means, based on my research, it's quite exhaustive and it's quite authoritative. So it is research based. So it's up to you. Try to go back to my video. Is this video available to them for them to have a replay or go back to the studies I mentioned, Dr. Haider?
Yeah, sure.
Sure. So it's actually I mentioned a few, 5 or 6 times. Colio, I forgot the others. It will take me time to actually get it compartmentalized to try to retrieve the information. But you just have to go back and see the names I mentioned, the researchers I mentioned. But definitely 40 years and 41 years and 20 years is quite exhaustive and authoritative. So you just use father internet. So when I asked my father before, Tatay, in our language, what is the color of the sky? Why is the ocean blue? So my father that tells me relegated it, just ask your mom. Then my mom says, and then I asked my mom, why is the sky color blue? They said, ask your sister. Why is the color blue? Ask ate. Why is the color blue? Then ask our dog, our pet. So it's good we have internet to ask a relevant question about why is the sky blue. Then why are our politicians never ignored us? That's a different matter to discuss because you're talking about ethical and moral values. But it's that deviate us. We don't ignore issues, especially when it concerns the welfare of our people. So we just humor us. So Filipinos are known for that, particularly in our culture. We had our EDSA revolution. We ousted the dictator. We accepted that back asan. Then we just try to leave it off. We have a saying, tawanan mo ang iyong problema, or in English, roughly translated, you just laugh at your problems. So actually, it's not actually laughing at, but trying to assuage yourself, trying to psychologize yourself to be strong enough to carry on your cross, to carry on your burden. So we just try to make positive out of things. It's a way when you humor yourself, you humor your mistakes. In a way, you're cognizant of the problems in front of you, but try to laugh it out. I can do that. There's nothing possible. There's no impossible. It's just impossible. It becomes impossible. Thank
Yes, very nice, Prof. Thank you very much. Wonderful answer to it. And very nicely, you have connected again back to your own argument of impossible to I am possible. Very nice. And since, Prof, we have time limitation, one last question. Again, it is very interesting question. They want to ask that can humor be utilized as tool to manage stress, anxiety, and other mental health challenges among students and educators? Yes, please.
Yes, because humor has an invigorating effect. Humor can lead to laughter, and laughter is the best medicine. You don't have to laugh, but it gives you like coffee. Since I need coffee and water to make me alert and awake, it's just like coffee. It energizes you. These benefits are important since they suggest that humor is a valuable tool in almost everything. That's why you just have to look at what humor as a tool in what ways, in what purposes way, uh, either in class or in real life. Remember, we're preparing our students to face the world outside. It's no longer an ivory tower where you put your students in a pedestal and they just live their life through it. No. The reality is they're going to face a world that is not perfect, a world that is corrupt, a world that is devoid of values. That's why we need people who have humor, who have our like number, a core of people who are united with a sense of purpose to be change makers. So we are all change maker here by just attending this session with Dr. Haider. We just attending webinars for their continued learning, lifelong learnings. And as I said, the skill to learn new skills is the most important skill for the 21st century. So let humor take over as one of the best tools in delivering education.
Wow, very nice, wonderful, Prof. The way you just in concluded this thing that we have to include in our education system, because it's not only I believe that motivate, but it also give a wonderful message, because in humor we can convey a very wonderful lessons, as you have portrayed in your own wonderful presentation, the different images, they speaks for thousands of words and thousands of things just in the image. So I believe that humor itself contains a lot of knowledge and information, and the students are, even the educator, they can take a lot of help from it. Really, Prof, I just enjoyed this session with you right from the beginning till end, and I enjoyed the way you give answer to the question. But since we have this time limitation, otherwise it would have been a great question answer session, because we had received a lot of questions, and I'm glad to tell you that so many questions you have already covered in your wonderful presentation and content. Prof, at the end of the session, we ask our each guest regarding their message to the world. So, what is your message to the world as a speaker, author, teacher, researcher, trainer, learner, and educator? Yes, please.
Humor is beneficial and a powerful tool. So for mental wellness to continue, we just have to humor ourselves, to forgive ourselves. And moving on, we also help inspire others, motivate them to humor themselves. So we build a community that is happy and successful. They build on learn from their failures and build on to success. So when we talk about success, not only in what is visible or tangible, but something inside of us. We try to help our country, our environment, our God, our faith, whatever name the God might be, we always try to help. It always branch out. It always radiate towards our fellow men. So when we talk about humor, it's always you and more. You and more. Always more. Humor. It's not humor how much, but or how more, how much or how more, but how much you can help. How much you can help with humors to others.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful message. Prof, really, I just loved your message to the world and the way you are contributing. by sharing your knowledge and your wisdom and helping the people not only from the field but on any level. Wherever you have been invited, you are always so kind that you share your knowledge, and people are getting right kind of understanding out of it, and they are using it for their benefits. So thank you very much, Prof. To the audience, that please do follow our distinguished guest speaker through his research work, and you can email him for future learning and guidance. He's very generous and always ready to help the people. Moreover, wonderful explanation and powerful content which the great speaker has already elaborated will help you to learn and develop your understanding regarding the humor and its connection to the overall mental health. That's all we have time for today. And thank you once again, Prof, for your wonderful session and for your wonderful and precious time you have given to us. And to the audience, I would just say that thank you all for your support and liking our session. Stay tuned as many sessions are on the way. Please do not miss any session. Until next session, take care of yourself